The Academy fell silent like a starship cutting its engines. For 100 species, the room was routine. Lectures, protocols, polite curiosity. Then a predator cub with 4 amber eyes leaned forward and said one small word in a voice rough from grief. "Mama." It landed like a meteor. In that instant, everything civilized negotiation and ancient bias had built between worlds cracked, and every being in the room had to choose what came next. Fear, scandal, or something far stranger, family. If you love stories where humanity surprises the galaxy, hit like and subscribe, and share this with someone who believes in second chances. Stick around. This one bends rules, tugs at your heart, and asks what family even means when species divide the stars. The Academy of Vareth Prime wasn't just a school. It was the galaxy's grand experiment in coexistence. A place where species that once hunted each other now pretended to be civilized under the same artificial sky. Glass corridors shimmered with plasma light, and the air hummed faintly from the respirators that balanced 70 different atmospheres into something breathable. Dr. Ellen Ward stood at the center of it all, the only human in the hall. Her voice carried warmth that didn't quite match the sterile walls. "Today," she said, smiling gently, "we talk about empathy, the hardest subject in any galaxy." Rows of students blinked, hissed, or clicked in response. Some had scales that reflected the light, others breathed through gills, and one, sitting at the back, had 4 amber eyes that didn't move at all. That was Kerr, a Vakrian predator cub, barely a meter tall, fur sleek like wet metal, and silent since the day he arrived. Rumor said he'd watched his den burn, that his kind considered humans soft. Predators didn't speak to prey, especially not to humans. Still, Ellen noticed how his claws tapped when she spoke, like he was listening even if he pretended not to. She didn't know it yet, but that silence wasn't empty. It was waiting. Kerr didn't speak, not once in 3 months. He came to class early, sat in the far corner, and watched everything with the unblinking focus of a predator measuring distance to its prey. Even when other students teased him, softly, cautiously, because Vakrians were feared even as children, he stayed silent. Dr. Ward learned to read the smallest things, how his ear crests flicked when confused, how his claws retracted when curious, and how his shoulders eased when she smiled. That was progress, she thought. Tiny, fragile progress. The Academy didn't make it easy. Officially, interspecies emotional bonding was discouraged, especially between predators and prey species. Humans, after all, were still unclassified in the galactic hierarchy. Too unpredictable, too emotional. One instructor whispered, "They feel too much. They teach it like it's strength." Ellen ignored the whispers. She remembered what Earth's history books said about walls. Every one of them eventually falls. One day, she left a small Earth relic on Kerr's desk, a round pebble, smoothed by a river's patience. She said softly, "Humans call it a wishing stone. You make a wish when you hold it." Kerr didn't react, but when the class ended, the pebble was gone. And the next morning, for the first time, he placed it back on her desk, perfectly clean. A silent thank you. It started with the pebble. Then came the questions, not spoken, but drawn. Kerr began leaving sketches on his hollow slate after class. Strange diagrams of Vakrian hunting grounds, ships shaped like bones, and once, a human hand reaching toward a smaller clawed one. No labels, no words, just connection. Ellen didn't correct or pry. She simply responded in kind. Sketches of Earth forests, oceans, animals that no longer roamed free. Slowly, art became language, but not everyone saw it that way. The Academy's board called her in. "Dr. Ward," they said, "Vakrians imprint easily. You could trigger instinctive dependency." Ellen kept her voice steady. "Or trust," she countered. You're afraid of the same thing you claim to teach." They didn't respond. Bureaucrats rarely do when fear is involved. So she continued, quietly, carefully. She started bringing small items, a seed from Earth, a recording of human laughter, a story about a blue planet where predators and prey once learned peace the hard way. Kerr listened. His claws stopped tapping during lessons. Once, when she joked about human coffee addiction, he made a sound, almost like a broken chuckle, low and confused by its own existence. No one else noticed. But Ellen did. She smiled and said, "We'll get there." She didn't realize how soon she'd be proven right. It happened on a quiet afternoon, the kind that felt too normal for history to sneak in. The lecture was nearly over when Kerr's hollow slate slipped off his desk. Ellen bent to pick it up, smiling as she handed it back. "Careful," she teased lightly. "Gravity always wins." But as she straightened, a sharp hiss tore through the room. Kerr's chair had toppled. His hind leg was twisted unnaturally. A small accident, but pain surged through him fast, primal. His instincts took over. Every alien student froze. Vakrian cubs were dangerous when hurt. Even adults kept distance. Ellen didn't move away. She moved closer. "Kerr, it's okay," she whispered. "You're safe." He thrashed once, then stopped. 4 amber eyes fixed on her, wide, wet, trembling with something that wasn't rage. And then, in a voice raw and broken from years of silence, he said it. "Mama." The sound was so small it barely reached the first row. Yet it was enough. Every breathing apparatus seemed to pause. Every heart, no matter how many chambers, stumbled once. The word echoed, ancient and innocent, not a declaration, a recognition, a predator calling a human mother. Ellen didn't speak. She just held him until his shaking stopped, while the galaxy's most advanced academy sat still, witnessing something evolution had never planned. The moment didn't end with applause. It ended with whispers, shock, fear, and then questions. Administrators filed reports. Bioethicists argued in glass rooms. Should the human be reprimanded? Should the cub be isolated? The incident was labeled cross-species imprint anomaly. But in the classroom, where it really mattered, no one spoke that way again. When Kerr returned days later, a strange calm followed him. He sat in his usual seat, tail curled tight, pebble in hand. Ellen began her lecture as if nothing had happened, until he interrupted her softly with one word that rippled through the hall again. "Teach." That was all. One word. But this time, no one gasped. A dozen different species watched as Dr. Ellen Ward smiled and continued. Somewhere deep in the Academy's archives, an entry was quietly updated. First recorded emotional imprint between human and Vakrian species, behavioral classification, compassion anomaly. They didn't know what to call it, but among students, it had a simpler name: the day the predator chose love. Ellen kept teaching. Kerr kept learning. And over time, other cubs began to mimic what he did, listening, smiling, even laughing. It spread quietly, like sunlight through cracks in steel. And somewhere beyond Vareth Prime, across the cold maps of distant stars, the legend grew. Humans didn't conquer worlds. They changed them, one heartbeat at a time.